So, we are with Mr. Ishac Diwan, Country Director of the World Bank in Accra. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Amos.
Yes, we have
so you're going to hold the camera? You don't want to put it on the table?
Somehow, I have a better. I think I can also put it down.
I could go down, maybe.
Okay, maybe that will help me.
Oops. No. Like this, but
yes, relax. My
this
problem is
so relaxed.
I want to get both you and a bit of the glove behind you. That's my problem, but I think I'm managing okay now. Okay.
That works?
Yeah.
Good.
Mr. One of the big issues concerning the macroeconomy and elections in Ghana is that there was some kind of vicious electoral cycle coming in. Governments literally trying to buy elections, spending in the last quarter before elections. Would you say that is happening? That has happened this time?
It's hard to say. It's an interesting situation where expenditures have increased tremendously for the elections. The deficit is as large as it has been in a long time. The fiscal deficit is larger than 10% of GDP. Yet, there is a good reason besides the election, which is that Ghana was hit in the past year by two major shocks. The increase in food prices and fuel prices that has really hit households. And so the government decided to push the economy and help the most vulnerable households and reduce taxes in order to keep growth going. So it happened before the elections, yet there was a good traditional economic reason for doing it, counter-cyclical fiscal policy. Now, unfortunately, just to continue the story, a third shock hit since just a few months ago, and that's the credit market global crunch. And so, in the past year, that deficit has been financed. Actually, there are two deficits, the fiscal deficit and the balance of payment, so about 15% of GDP. Both are very large. So Ghana's up there, borrowing money, counting on international flows, and this is unlikely to be able to continue in the future. And so there's going to be most likely a forced adjustment in the next few months of both deficits. And this is a major challenge for the new government. That's the irony of the elections, actually. Parties are competing very hard for the chance to manage the oil revenues.
Yes.
And actually,
that's a bonanza.
Exactly, the oil bonanza. But the reality is that they will have to manage austerity for the next 2-3 years. I'm not sure they're ready for it.
That's true. Yes, we had a knowledge session in your PIC yesterday on these issues, and thank you very much for your permission. One issue that came out was the quality of regulation. In the sense that the argument was that, well, people are saying we are going back to state intervention, some others are saying that's a bad idea, some are in the middle. But I think the consensus that emerges that really the weakest point in Ghana is that we've not been able to regulate private enterprise enough for social purposes. And there was some contention, I don't want to get into the details of it, between relative performance and regulation. I think the general idea is that we've been very poor in regulating communications, telecommunications. Maybe we've done a slightly better job with water and energy. And that's until the recent crisis, we're doing very good with petroleum. Can I have your views on that? Or generally, what do you think about the quality of regulation in Ghana?
That's an interesting point you're making. I think it's hard to generalize. I mean, I haven't thought about it before, but I wouldn't rate Ghana neither very poorly nor very strongly. It's a new area. Regulation has really started 4 or 5 years ago. It's a relatively new idea. Frankly, I think the theory of regulation myself, I'm not terribly convinced. I mean, it's not very clear to me what are the incentives of the regulator, for example, to take the energy sector. The energy sector thermal cost of producing thermal energy fluctuates a lot. What is exactly the role of the regulator? They're supposed to be independent. They want to protect the consumers. At the same time, they should worry about fiscal deficits. How do they exactly trade off these things? It hasn't been terribly clear to me. I think it would be useful to ask deeper questions about
what has been the World Bank? What has been the World Bank policy advice on this? Did it feature in your current economic memorandum?
It didn't, but clearly regulation is a very important part of servicing public services. Take water; it's a big controversy here. Is water private, public? Do people have right to water for free? What is the price for water? So that's an example of regulation, right? At what level you price water? Now, it's a complicated problem. You want to price it very low for social fairness, obviously, but if you price it very low, then it means your investment needs are very high. Now, if you can't afford them, then you're actually pushing the poor to buy water at market rates, which is very expensive. And so how do you exactly deal with this? Now, one way to deal with it is to say, I'm going to create an independent regulator, and they would tell us what to do. It's not clear to me that this is the right solution.